This is the call to order. Ryan. Ryan was screaming.
Yeah. This is Stuart. Good morning. Good morning. Notice is Billy Gannon and the quorum is present.
Sure. And just to emphasize how short it's going to be, I'll just say, in conclusion. Welcome to the annual meeting. You all should have an agenda. One thing that I will note on the agenda is that there's a small change. Is that probably much to glorify to say, but right before the Q&A session, we'll put Glowfiber up here and answer any questions, etc. So that we know there's going to be a bunch of questions. So with that, what I would like to do is we'll start with 2023 financials and 2024 forecast. Treasurer,
Just turn it on there. Buttons on your right. Let's go green light.
I thought Roy was going to give you the three rules of presentations. Be there, be brief, and be gone. For the 2023 financials, actually we're in really good shape this year. Portsmouth Reserve account ended about 500. You're also in the market. Really close. Okay, so the Portsmouth Drive account ended about 570K. Capital contribution fee, the account balance is about 240K. For those who might not be aware, the CCF account was instituted last year, 2022, started in June. The intent was to fee on the purchase of the properties in Forest Collins, and the buyer pays a fee which is equal to two quarters worth of assessment. The balance the balance that I just gave you represents the sale of 227 properties since October of 22. And the funds will be used this year. They'll be used for installation of a streetlight conduit, which is being laid at by Glowfiber in conjunction with their conduit, at a significant savings, like a factor of 15 to 20 for the community. Capital reserve account ended at about 575K. The operating fund ended at 809K, and the operating fund expenses finished about 225K better than planned. The interest on our FCHOA accounts for 23 was about 60K. And then the accounts in collection this year, at the end of the year, were 10, which is 0.34% of the community. And the balance is about 46K. That's really the lowest we've seen in a number of years. For 24, capital reserve revenue is 1.65 million, and that covers the CRRM, the capital reserve replacement model contribution, the mortgage that we have on the community services building, and then a CIF contribution of 75K. Capital reserve expenses this year are only going to be 1.18 million. So the capital reserve account should have a positive, is projected positive revenue over expenses at the end of the year, about 470K. The operating expenses for 24 are about 6.2 million. About 60% of that are labor costs for security, maintenance, facilities, and administration. And that includes FCD, the Fort Colony Development Shared Maintenance Agreement contribution is in that as well. The FCHOA budget total for this year is $7.8 million. Annual assessment is $2,296, which is a $40 increase over the previous year, or $10 a month, about 1.8% increase. For the future, by the end of 26, we should have something like 3,060 lots. That's from new construction. The park at Westport, which is across Centerville Road from the Firestone, excuse me, the Manchester Gate, will have 14 single-family homes. The Country Club Villas, which is next to Eagles Cliff, will have 37 new townhouses, and Marshall Villas, which is at 185 Forest Colony Drive, will have 25 new townhomes. From that, there's a construction impact fee during construction that pays for things like the wear and tear on our roads, and that's paid by the developer. It's about $200K. For 24, 25, and 26, there's an annual projected operations expense savings from PPP. The projected capital contribution fee revenue should be something on the order of $200K a year. And that, after we pay for the streetlight conduit, that would then go to defray expenses and reduce annual assessment. And then there's a projected 2.2 to 3% annual operating expense increase.
What are the rules for being maintained adult? Mike, anyone? I'll repeat. I'm going to be lengthy and dull. What do you think? I want to talk a little bit. Next slide, please. We're going to talk a little bit about where we're going. Okay. So for that, I'm going to put Confucius up on the board. Somebody thinks that he had something to say. But go to the next one, too. I happen to like the board. At least for many of us, he's really provided us something that we can do. Let's talk a little bit about Ford's Colony. Most of us are here because we were intrigued by the beauty of our community and what it had to offer. I can attest to that because my wife and I went all the way up and down the East Coast, including some whimsical thoughts about moving to Eastern Canada. That was my idea, not hers. Okay, and always kept us coming back to here. I'm not alone in how much I like this place. The typical like comment in my last survey is this: beautiful, peaceful, safe, and the residents and neighbors are wonderful. Fort Colony is the perfect place for us. That's one of nearly 1,300 comments of love, of people love about Fort Colony that were in the last survey. And it really is indicative of how folks feel about our community. Our community is nearly built out. Rick mentioned 3,060 potential, we're at 2,800 or so at the moment about stuff that has been built. We nearly have 7,000 residents. Guess what? We have become a small town with all of its benefits and all of its concerns. I put this up here because, to say this, is that we need to remember that somebody planted that first tree. That's about 40 years ago right now from when Ford's Colony started. And maybe give or take a year. Nothing years on just Okay. The next 40 years are going to be very different. We're a built-out community. But we have to remember that somebody built that first house, laid out the streets, built the golf courses, and built swim and tennis. All of those efforts result in the community being what it is. Continued efforts are made weekly, monthly, to plant and trim those trees to continue to create value for us to this day. It takes many folks to make this happen. I want to thank a couple of them. So I'm going to start with the board, okay, and especially the three members whose terms are up. Jen Spencer, who's, I guess his term is even up faster than I thought, is already going off to some far off place. Rick Morrison and Joanne Gore. The board and the departing board members have provided insights, expertise, and effort. They were challenged to make hard decisions, including some that have been popular. And it's always been for the betterment of the community. They make Ford's Colony the place it is. And with that, I'd like to thank all of them. The second group I want to thank is RCS. And just as an aside, Drew, is there any truth to the rumor that you planted that first tree? RCS works tirelessly to manage and maintain our community. Every day, we see those bright green shirts doing something. The security rover is always on the rounds, and support is being provided to the committees of the board and to the Bridge Club. We have about $50 million in infrastructure, the roads, the buildings, the equipment, and they ensure that it's all maintained and up to snuff. They're also key in our relations with James City County. They answer the bell every day, and everyone benefits from their efforts. So I would also like to do two things. First, those folks that work for RCS that are in the room, stand up. Please, stand up. Even on Saturday, you're in here working for us. That's important, but thank you very much. The third group is the volunteers. The numbers of the volunteers always amaze me. You can look at the handout that you received when you came in here and see the names that are on the standing committees. That in some ways kind of hits the iceberg. There are many more volunteers that are involved with work and cash groups. There are folks that just step up and do the things that need to be done. Okay, for that club. You know, there's a whist club, all right? But guess what? There's also a group of people that want to play whist, all right? And somebody has to put that together to make it happen. And somebody has to organize the tables for that to happen. Or for a charitable effort or for some community task. The expertise and the labor they provide saves our community thousands, and I can't emphasize that enough. This is a characteristic of our community that we all should be proud of. So let's give the volunteers also a round of applause. Those are the folks that make the day-to-day here work. But the other thing that needs to be done is that we need to know where to plant the trees. One of the HOA jobs, particularly the board of directors, with input from all of you, is to strategize and plan for the future. A foundation for this is the great strategic plan that our strategic planning committee has put together. It outlines a number of goals. Those goals are intended to drive the vision to be a preferred master plan residential community. That's a mouthful. Why that vision? One of the board's key tasks is to sustain and enhance the value of the community and its homes. Simply put, being preferred drives value. Those goals, they provide guideposts to drive us to achieve that vision. Give you a couple of examples of things that are going on this last year and some that will continue to go on next year. One of the goals is to promote and enhance Ford's colonies quality of life. Our covenants of our housing standards. No one in this room is not going to deny that when you drive in here and you look at the properties, etc., that this is really a pretty special place. A lot of it is the effort that those guys made. There's a lot of continuing efforts to ensure that the beauty of our community. You know, sometimes you wonder, why are we continuing to put all that pine straw down? Okay? But if you take a step back when they're all done and look at it, it really makes a difference. The security folks continue to ensure our safe and secure environment. From a perspective of fostering good governance, another goal. One example this last year has been establishing the audit subcommittee, and that's going to enhance both our fiscal and risk management. I know that's pretty boring stuff, but it's really, really important stuff. Another one is providing up-to-date information technology. I bet most of you don't know is that we were using technology for our financial system that came out when Truman was president. What we've done is we've replaced that undocumented dated financial management system in 2023 with e-Unify, and that's an ad for all of us. That effort was also driven by volunteers. I can state from my role is that if we were hiring consultants and contractors to do that, that would have cost us significant money. It's happened because of all of you, or some of you, providing the volunteer services to make that happen. Other aspects of this new technology will enable us to use texting for community communications, and perhaps a community portal. The other thing around technology that's happened this last year is the installation of Glow Fiber. Glow improves our connectivity. I can't wait for it, to tell you the truth. It's something that we wanted to see for a long time. And guess what? Because of it, I think Cox has also improved their services as well. Competition can be a wonderful thing. Third goal is strengthening volunteerism. We have to pay attention to volunteerism. We need to have candidates for the board. We need to have candidates for our standing committees. And we need to encourage people to step up. We have a fairly significant pool that might happen, but we really need to make it happen. Our efforts this year have been doing things to ensure that the pipeline continues to provide the volunteers that we need to operate. And make no mistake about it, we need those volunteers to operate. And it saves us a lot of money in our assessments. And then last but not least of these strategic plan type goals is fostering strategic relationships. Ford's Colony continues to strengthen this relationship with our partners. It's the Country Club, it's James City County, it's the Marriott, it's the Realty Community, and it's the James City County School. The better that we have a relationship with them, the better we can ensure that the things that are important for us at least get a hearing. Maybe not happen, but at least get a hearing. In addition to those truths, we've also completed a number of tasks that are associated with Ford's Colony 2033. The 2033 effort helps us determine issues that we need to address over the next decade to consider changes that will make our community better. And not to do that when we're in a panic mode. Sure, we've done a lot of things that we do because it has to be done next week. But a lot of these things need to be done and we don't have to do them next week. And that's really been one of the intents of the 2033 process. To give you an example of some of the items, and not all of them, that we have talked about. We've addressed aging in place. I don't know about you, but I would really like to stay in my home for as long as I can. The HOA may be able to help us do that. Okay, so that's something that's been looked at, and something that we looked at more in 2024. We've established a green roundtable to ensure that green issues are addressed efficiently and effectively. Green touches all of us. Some of us may not like, all right, but some of it is very real. We need to have a rational, coherent strategy addressing their green issue. We have also been studying how we can improve our relationships with our strategic partners, particularly the country. And last but not least, we're considering how we can continue to improve the government and management of our community. Again, nice to do that when it doesn't absolutely have to be done next week. It's good to do it when we can have thoughtful consideration of those issues. You'll hear more about these and other items in our community and committee goals for 2024. You'll see a lot of that next month, or this month. Oh, yeah, this month. So, how are we doing against that vision here for the community? Are we continuing to plant those trees? Are we the preferred community we envision? That seems to be verified by a couple of measures. First, during our 2033, if you want to have a talk, just make sure you have lots of threes in it. Some are all over. During our Fort County 2033 discussions, we've spoken with somewhere between 10 and 15, depending on how you count it, other HOAs. In many of our discussions, our intent was to collect information from them. But in many cases, the other HOA was interested in finding out how Ford's Colony did this and that. In many cases, it seemed what they wanted to talk with us because we were the standard. And I can't emphasize that more, is that from a lot of these communities that we talked to, is what we were coming away with, is, we do things really, really well. Okay. It's very nice to be complimented by our peers. Secondly, just how long does it take to sell a house in Fort Collins? You see, you go pretty quick. Maybe not as quick as the donuts, but they're going pretty quick. That's an indication of a desire for this community. Okay, that defines a preferred. And lastly, and you've heard this before from me, is that we have a 95% satisfaction rate while having the lowest HOA fees for a large HOA employee. That tells me, and I hope it tells you, that we must be doing something. So, at the I'll just leave it with this. It happens because of all of us. It happens with what you do. It happens with your commitment. It happens with the board. It happens with the commitment of our PS. It happens with the commitment of all of our volunteers. Thank you very much for making this community what it is. Next, sir.
Thank you, Ryan. Mr. President, Mark. We have been keeping the community up to date each month on the topic of development. And as I've written before, 2024 is going to be very special in our community in terms of construction. So we decided to try to focus on the development update for you a little bit more this year. And I will be brief in general and focus on the most recent information. The first two projects are the townhomes in the vicinity of the Country Club and the Eagles Cliff condominiums of St. Andrews Drive and Ford's Colony Drive. Both of these are on the FCHOA website for more information. The Country Club Villas is a 37-unit townhome condominium off St. Andrews Drive. D.R. Horton acquired this project in January. The pre-construction conference and groundbreaking happened this week. Heavy equipment for clearing and grading will start next week. A second construction entrance will be installed on St. Andrews Drive to reduce traffic to the Marriott parking. We were very concerned about the conflict of their guests and this construction. General site work should go quickly, weather permitting. Residential construction, or should I say framing, should start in a few months. The permanent access will be through the Marriott parking lot. We refer to it as the Marriott parking lot, as most commonly known. There is no access to the Eagles Cliff condo parking lot or the street in Ashford Manor. We have not heard about the D.R. Horton sales plan for certificates or unit reservations, but I assume that will be coming soon. Marshall Village parcel is the 3-acre site on Ford County Drive, adjacent to the Marshall water hole. The conceptual plan is for 25 three-story townhomes on either side of an entry road. The conceptual plan meets zoning and master plan requirements and was approved conceptually by the ARC. James City County is reviewing the site plan, but this process is moving quickly. This project may be under construction as soon as this time. This is the conceptual plan look for Ford's Common Drive. A landscaping plan will include a brick and metal fence matching the existing fence on Ford's Colony Drive. This is the interior street view to the front of the units and then a back and a side view. There's a single car garage and an elevator shaft or an optional elevator for each unit. The sidings will be a combination of brick and hardy board. This is the look from Marshall 1. There will be a tree buffer remaining on the golf course property, but quite frankly, the project clearing will be essentially the property. I think it is safe to say that while the developer is well within its rights on unit type and density, this clearing and townhome construction will be a dramatic change from the 40 years of looking at 3 acres of wood. The ARC will be focused on landscaping and fencing along Ford's Colony Drive, as well as timely completion with both a cash surety and a completion bond. The 14-unit single-family subdivision, the Park of Westport, is off Centerville Road, as Rick was saying, sharing the entrance to Westport. Here is the location next to Westport. And here is a better look at the lot layout. The lots are generally 3 acres in size on a public street and connected to public water and sewer systems. The park is part of our FCHOA and is subject to ARC approval. Home construction is expected to start in the March-April timeframe. Ford's Village is a continuing care retirement community on News Road across from Firestone. Nestled in the middle of 185 acres with lots of green space on the perimeter, Ford's Village includes a neighborhood of independent homes built by private properties and the Morgan Building operated by Retirement Unlimited. That includes 200 apartments and beds for independence, assisted living, and memory care. This project should start this spring with residential construction starting in the fall. The Ford's Village brochure includes a street view shown here. As you can see on the upper left-hand corner, there is a security building at the entrance off News Road. This is a look at the Morgan Building that includes 200 apartments and beds, dining facility, administration, and other amenities. Again, these plans are on our website. As you have read, the FCHOA will submit an application to amend the Ford's Colony Master Plan to remove a remaining developer proffer that obligates the parcel owner to convey about 7 acres to the county as a public service area. Since the FCHOA acquired this parcel in a tax foreclosure in 2022, we have a verbal understanding that removing this obligation will be permitted. The parcel will be designated as non-residential. As you notice coming in, Glow Fiber has key sales representatives here to help answer your questions, including the regional sales manager, Mr. Lack, and our FC sales rep, Mr. Briley, who will be available to speak to you directly when fiber service is available to your decision. Glow Fiber reports that roadway construction is about 75% complete as of this week. The last area will start in a week or two. Full completion is forecast for April. All residents should be able to connect by May or early June. Just to let you know, I'm still waiting for Glow on my screen. The good news from the marketing department is that of those that have service available today, 16% are connected. Another 25% are pre-registered for connection. Glow Fiber reports that these are better than typical market averages. This utility markings in winter weather has slow production and is messier in the field. Your patience is very appreciated. Low Fiber is committed to restoring our roadways where necessary, but spring weather will help soon, according to the groundhog. I've been asked to talk about some of the staff innovations and cost savings that will go into effect by staff. There's some very talented people on staff that are very good with their hands and thoughts, and really over the years have saved us a lot of money. One of the things that we were focusing on, for 2023 is our staff took a new chemical spreader, and it has multiple applications, and we were able to increase our efficiency in distributing both chemicals and seed and such by 25%. We also rehabbed the water tank that we were using. We just brought that into service a year previous, but we've already improved it by increasing the water flow in the reach. We've done fixture modifications. Our staff has gone about the replacing of the streetlight LED fixtures versus using a contractor, saving us over $13,000. And also, we're very grateful to staff that is now much more keyed in on how our gate systems operate, and they have the talent to help us with those gate access mechanisms, repairing the gates, etc. Some of the investments that we have that are paying off is years ago we transitioned to all of our street signs as they are replaced to be replaced with PVC. That has saved us just in forecasting for the 2024 budget a reduction of $10,000 in those type of costs. Also, in our asphalt paving mix, we went to a better mix this year on the main roads because typically we would be putting down a fiber underlayment and then paving on top of that. But with this better mix, we were able to avoid the fiber underlayment. That has saved us about $10,000. And of course, you're well aware of the drainage pipe repairs and the grants. So you credit directly to Ryan Lee and his work with Kansas City County and their generosity. We have accumulated over $200,000 in grants in 2022 and 2023. The way that program works is we make an investment up front, and then we qualified for a 50 cents on the dollar return on our investment of those grants. It's a tremendous program, and give all the credit to Ryan and working with staff at James County to bring that about. And we're also, we've heard about the investments we have planned with Blue Fiber. We reached an agreement with Glow over a year ago that as they're installing their conduit, they're also installing a piece of conduit for our use for streetlight repairs. So with that conduit in place, and when we have streetlight outages in general areas, we're able to pull new streetlight wire through an existing conduit rather than install that up ourselves. When we were doing that installation, it was costing $17 to $20 a linear foot. We're doing that with Blue Fiber for $1.25 a foot. This is a tremendous savings. So finishing up, on behalf of the 65 men and women of Realtech Community Services, it's our pleasure serving your association, now going on over 3 decades. I would like to particularly thank Sally Walls and our department heads, Ryan Lee, Jenny Collins, Lincoln Wimmel, Steve Rubino, for another fantastic operating year. Thank you very much. And as importantly, thank you for your kindness and generosity. It's truly a great place to work. Thank you very much. Now I'm going to turn my friend over to Rob Bureau.
Good morning again. All right, so the results from the election this year, I'm going to read this very briefly. 24 proxies, the election results. 855 proxies were received, well over the 10% quorum number of the parliament. Proposal number 1. In order for the association to be eligible for lower tax rates and to avoid paying taxes on any excess revenues in any one year, IRS regulation requires that homeowners vote to roll over excess funds from one year to the following year. The board has anticipated this surplus and recommends your approval of the following resolution. Resolved that the excess funds, if any, from FY23 and FY24 be rolled over to their respective following budget year, 24-25, in accordance with IRS Regulation 70-604. This resolution was passed, 854 approved, 1 disapproved. Maybe they took them off that. All right, and now for the election results. Following directors were elected: Joanne Gora, Ray McCaskey, and Gary Porter. Congratulations. I believe that concludes our portion, and I will hand it over to Roy for the Q&A.
As I said, we can start with questions on Globe Fiber. And for these questions, this is not specific to as I said, or as it has been said, you can take, if you have a specific question about your lot or whatever, if you take those, if you will, offline with the folks from Globe Fiber out in the lobby. This is really intended for general questions, etc. Go ahead.
Everyone hear me okay? Excellent. My name is Lafayette. I'm representing Globe Fiber. I'm the regional sales manager. My office is based right out of Central Virginia, right in Richmond. And so I'd like to thank Roy, Drew, and the board for inviting us here today. We had a very warm welcome, and we're very much looking forward to servicing the community. With that said, I am open to take any questions. Looking forward to answering those today.
Globe Fiber questions? Dennis coming to you.
How often do you update your map? Because I called this past week thinking the construction was done. They told me my address does not exist.
So thank you for your question. So we do update it on a typically a weekly to bi-weekly. We run a weekly to bi-weekly report. I actually look at it every day. I've had that question quite a few times this morning. And so what I'd like to do for everyone, I've been handing out my business card. By the way, the gentlemen that are outside, those are our regional sales reps. Those folks are named Ron Bryden and Ballard Preston. If you will, please take one of our cards or all three of our cards. Give us a call whenever, text us, whatever is easier for you, or email us your address. We look at that report on a daily basis. I look at it all the time, 8 to 12 hours a day. And my objective is to look at every single address. And when I see a green light, that customer, if I have that phone number, or if Ron or Ballard has that phone number, we're going to call you right away. We're going to tell you, hey, great news, your address is ready. I'm sure this has been passed around, this term that we use, DSA, LCP. Each section of the community has a classification, a number. Whenever that DSA or LCP is live, we communicate and we come out and we do our best to reach out to everyone, including the customer. So once we have that in front of us and we see that it is active, you'll be called, especially when we have the number.
Mr. Lack, if I could just add to that, the information that Globe tells us is once the road right-of-way is installed, they have to come then splice that line and do some system testing. It takes about 30 days before that service is now available to the home. So there is that, even though you think they're finished in front of your door, it may be another month or so before service is available to your house.
All right, I have the next question up here. Up here.
It was mentioned that as you run the glow fiber cable, you're also running a conduit or the conduit for glow fiber. You're also running a conduit for the street light. It looks, when you came on my street, it looks like the color of the conduit for glow fiber is orange. Is the same conduit going to be used for the street light, or you're running a separate conduit for the street light as opposed to the fiber? And what color, if it's a separate conduit, what color is that?
Are you going to take that one? I apologize.
No, that'd be fine. It is the same color conduit. It's a certain size, and it has a pull wire through it with a locator tape in it, so that we won't have any issues separating the two.
I do want to also say, I'm going to do my very best to answer your questions. However, I will certainly write your questions down if I cannot answer them, and I will personally reach back out with the answer if I'm not such an answer.
Anyone else? All right, thank you. Oh, we got one more out in front. One over there, so we got two more.
Thank you. I'd just like to tell you that the crew that you have working in 100-degree weather and 32-degree weather have done an outstanding job. Thank you for following up and making sure things get done, grass replanted, sod. So congratulations to your construction side of your business. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for that. Thank you.
I'm sorry. You mentioned DCA and LSP. What are those acronyms for?
It's just how we classify the addresses in streets. So we had a few people actually say those terms to us this morning. We were a little surprised that a few people.
What is DCA?
It's just how we classify the areas in the community. So basically, each address is within a certain classification, and so whenever we see that DSA pop up, we know that it's ready to go or certified, and we can get a forecasted meeting. It just lets us know that the addresses are ready or what process they're in within our system.
Sally,
Yep.
I just have a question. If there is any damage to our property as a result of the installation, what is the process for getting that repaired?
That is a great question. Thank you for your question. There's a few steps you can take, and certainly whichever step is more convenient for you will obviously accommodate. Again, we're out. We have a table set up. I am the regional manager. If you want to reach out to me directly, via phone call, via text, via email, I'll personally take care of that. I'll reach out to my leadership and my partners to address and resolve. But there are also other avenues if you'd rather, go online or make a phone call. So we have, for anything construction-wise or any issues in terms of construction, we do have a phone number you can call, and I can give this out to whoever, again, outside. That number is 1-866-997-6474. And you can also go online and submit a ticket. There's a form as well under our construction tab. So if you have an issue or if there's damage done to your property, lawn, whatever the case may be, you can submit a ticket that way as well. But I understand that a phone call a lot of times is easier. You can reach out to me directly, and I'm more than willing to give everyone here a business card and my information.
What is needed by the individual homeowner, routers or something that one would need to have to switch the service, or will that all be provided by Glow Fiber or available from Glow Fiber?
So in terms of routers, we actually do provide a router. It is a separate cost, but we can provide the router to you. However, you have an option of purchasing your own as well. There are specifications and parameters of, in terms of what kind of router you'll need, and we can provide those parameters and specifications to you. But you do have an option of purchasing your own router as well. So everything in terms of obviously the fiber, we install the modem in your home as well, and also the routers, or you can elect your own.
There will be a seamless switch from Cox. I mean, it will be just a matter of flipping a switch and continuing as we've done.
That's correct. So it's just a matter of installing everything and then turning everything on.
I don't agree that it's a seamless switch. They have to route the cable to your house. They have to mount a new box on the wall. They have to drill a hole through the wall. They have to mount. They have to put the modem someplace inside. And I encourage you to. I've had cable routed up to my house. I haven't completed the process because I had some issues. Had a number of different people that I had interfaced with. But it would help, I think, for Glow Fiber to provide some photographs of what an installation looks like before people commit, so that they understand how the cable is going to get to the house, how it's going to get into the house, and what the different boxes look like. But it's not just hook up where the Cox box is.
Yes, sir. And let me touch on that. So typically, and I'll talk about the process. So typically, obviously, once you order service, your address is ready to go. Typically, what happens is we give you full disclosure on that installation process. We will do our very best to schedule you for the first available date. Within 3 business days of that install date, what we call a drop technician will come out and he'll assess the property and he'll do a survey. And basically what he's looking at is he or she is looking at the vault, the source of our fiber, and the path the fiber will take from that vault to your home. If there are any obstacles such as a road, sidewalk, anything like that, we'll need to perform additional work so that we can go below that to your house. And obviously, I think he touched on that a little bit. So if it's a direct path and it's easy, then we're obviously just going to put the fiber with that drop tech. We'll place the fiber onto your home with a demarcation box, typically where your Cox demarc box on the side of your house is. And then if there's not an easy path, what we'll do is we will reschedule your installation anywhere from 10 to 13 days out in order to perform the work. And then once the work is done, we will obviously perform the install.
Yeah, just for information, Go Fiber already was installed in my house probably back in October or November. And I had concern, and this is for everybody else, because my Cox modem was not located at some far corner of my house. It was located in a cabinet in the middle of my family room. First of all, when Glow Fiber came, they did have a crew dig their wire from the box on the street out to the side of my house where the Cox box was. They put their own box in. The technician did run, he drilled a hole through the side, went down into the crawl space and did route that fiber up into that same cabinet that I had my Cox modem in. So that was completely seamless, and it was very easy then to just, I used my own Eero routers, which I already had, and after that it was very quick and easy.
Yes, sir. Thank you for that. We did have a few questions around that, and I also want to address the drilling. I know that sometimes can be a concern. Every technician that goes out, he or she will have an idea of what the ideal installation looks like. However, he or she's not just going to do what they want. They're going to talk to the homeowner. They're going to assess the home. they're gonna try to find a good location for that modem as it relates to bringing it in from the outside source, the demarcation box on the side of your home. If they'll talk to you about the plan, they'll say, look, this is what I think. This is what I think we should do. And obviously, you as the homeowner, you have the final say, right? I would think that both of you would have a conversation. This is what seems to be the best path. They'll make some suggestions. They'll ask you, hey, can we do it this way? And we'll find a way to make it happen. And do our best to accommodate your wishes, because it is your home, and we don't just want to, go in there and say this is how we're going to do it. We want to make sure that, we talk to you about the plan and our expertise, our idea of what that looks like.
Could you take a moment to talk about TV channels, availability, and also maybe you mentioned the telephone yet? I think we don't have to change our phone number, is that correct?
That's correct. That's correct. So we do have a porting process on the telephone side. Obviously, most of the folks that I've spoken to have a Cox telephone number. We do have a 7 business day port process. So basically, how that looks is, when you port your phone number, you do what's called third-party verification, where you yourself give us permission to request that phone number from Cox. That is a quick phone call or a form, depending on your preference. We submit that, and our company reaches out to Cox to request the phone number, and then we'll be able to port that phone number on the day of install. That is the process in regards to the telephone service. In terms of your question about TV, I'm glad you mentioned that. So there is a little bit of confusion around our TV programming. So our TV programming is strictly streaming. It's a streaming service. Cox, they use a coaxial cable box with a remote. Ours is a streaming service, and right now, you would be using an Amazon Fire Stick, where the Glow Fiber TV app would be installed on that device, and you'd be able to stream up to 3 televisions at the same time on that TV service. Okay, and as of right now, our promo, you would get that first Amazon Fire Stick for free. Does that answer your question, sir?
What about local channels?
Local channels, you do have local channels. As a matter of fact, our lowest package includes the local channels. You have your Fox, CBS, NBC, CBS, the local channels that you normally see. And then you obviously have more tier, I think 2 or 3 more tiers after that, where you can have more cable networks or traditional cable networks. And then obviously you have your add-ons for premiums and things like that. Okay.
Governor over here. What if you have a Roku stick or whatever we have, the Roku thing? You have to replace it with the Amazon.
Yes, ma'am. As of right now, the Amazon Fire Stick is the streaming service stick that we use. That's correct. If you have I apologize, I misunderstood your question. If you, let me just say this: you can keep using your Roku stick, if that's your question. If you want to use the Glow Fiber TV service, it would have to be on the Amazon Fire Stick. But if you have other streaming sources, those will not be interfered with. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, general Q&A.
My question is dealing with the Raleigh Live access system and ensuring that we are a friendly community. The St. Andrews Gate over by the pond has considerable issues with access control. It's the only one that only has a single entrance. There was an article in the Talk of Colony recently that talked about something was in process. What specifically is that process? And what is the target date for improving the access there? We have a beautiful community, but to have family and friends continually come in and to say that they couldn't access it. These are tech-savvy young adults that know how to use a QRS code and scanner that are having difficulty getting into our facility. You have vendors that are backed up. This all costs all of us money also. So what specifically is being done, and what's the timeline to improve this?
Okay, Joanne or Drew? Or Steve?
We don't have a target date per se. It's one of the things that the board has asked Roads and Project Maintenance Committee to take another look at this year. So we had a study done a couple of years ago, and it was a costly endeavor, as you might imagine. And so the question is, we just wanted to take another look at that again.
What about the security side, improving scanners so they work like a shopping center?
Same. That's going to be under the security committee.
I have Mr. Williams here.
Good morning, John Williams, 105 Royal Melbourne. First, I'd like to applaud the board for the outstanding work they're doing. I have a question about Forest Colony Drive and portions of St. Andrews. Now, I view Forest Colony Drive as the premier drive coming into Forest Colony. However, right now, as you know, it is so heavily patched and unsightly patched, as well as some portions of St. Andrews. My question is there anything in the work to repave those heavily patched portions of Forest Colony Drive and St. Andrews that would not include accessing the residence?
Forest Colony Drive is actually due for repaving on our regular schedule, but we decided to defer that until after the completion of the construction, multifamily construction around the country club. So we are looking at sometime in the 25-26 timeframe. We'll continue to do patching as necessary until then.
I was prepared for weeks to ask a question here about the multiple waste management contractors we have working our neighborhood and why we don't have some kind of a deal with Forest Colony for one contractor to be doing our entire community. However, now I just read the news yesterday and I printed it out that the James City County Commission is studying consolidating waste management under one contractor. The question is, are we bound by whatever James City County does? And if not, have we ever looked at just having a single waste management contractor with a preferential rate for our residents?
When Jim Eisenhower and Michael Hipple came here in last May, is that they talked about that. And it's not only will it be consolidated within James City County, it's also going to be included in what we end up paying to James City County. But whether we can be in or out of that, that's kind of an interesting question. But I'll add one other thing about the services that we use. At the moment, we have free, is that right, to come in here? We have effectively Waste Management, Bay or whoever, and somebody else. But there is one company that actually comes to your trash area and gets your trash. So one important thing to note is that what people want is different, and that is in effect being served by the multiple companies that are in it. I don't blame you personally. I think having a standard rate that will be negotiated, et cetera, would be a good thing. And I'll turn that to Drew, because he's got history on that.
Just to fill in what you were saying, one of the things that James City County is looking at is they're on the eve of starting what they refer to as a 5-year process of reviewing this entire thing. So that's in place now, as you read in the newspaper. But as Roy was saying, over the years, the association board has looked at this issue. As Roy was saying, there are different service companies providing another bunch of different options One company is coming twice a week, one company is coming on Thursdays, one company is coming on Fridays, and one company is coming to your side of your house. And so in order to make any of that work, we would have to consolidate with one carrier. It would be a central billing through your homeowners association's assessment. So some people would be in favor of that, and then others would not, perhaps. But I think something that the board can consider.
It's more complex than you might think.
Question for Drew. Bart Fry, who was the principal of Fry Development, who is building the CCRC, he passed away in September. What is the status of his organization? Do they have a go-forward plan with regard to the CCRC? And you know kind of the state of that organization, and I got a couple of other points, but if you could address that one first.
Take that. So we are aware of Mr. Fry's death. Our primary contact is with their Vice President of Operations, Rock Bell, and his organization. So, you know, we've been communicating. They gave us some information just in January of their plans of moving forward this spring and this fall for residential construction. So they seem to be intact on moving forward.
Okay, great. The next issue that I have would be a referral to the Roads and Project Management Group to conduct a study on some of the original phase cul-de-sacs to see if there is a potential to expand those cul-de-sacs to make them larger so that the service vehicles that are coming into our community can more effectively navigate the cul-de-sac. There's a particular problem on Muirfield where trash trucks and UPS trucks and landscapers have a problem down at the end of that. And I know that there are many others that are like it, but it's a problem. I own a landscape company, and my guys are constantly having to do 5-point, 8-point turns in these original cul-de-sacs. So if you could look at that, that would be something that would help the people who live on the cul-de-sacs and avoid some property damage. The final thing that I have is with regard to the deep water access at Gordon's Creek and to understand what the status of that is. That's one of the competitive disadvantages that Ford's Colony has compared to Kingsville and Governor's Land is the fact that we don't offer a deep water access point, and that Gordon's Creek lot that we have would provide that in some meaningful way because Gordon's Creek connects out to the Chickahominy River.
Cul-de-sac is Gordon's Creek. Status of Gordon's Creek is that we're in the final bidding process and we're looking at that to move that forward. At some point over this next year, you'll see something happening there. But I do want to emphasize something. I wouldn't call that deep water access. Okay, it's a creek. It's really a kayak one. Okay, as opposed to deep water access. And yes, it is something that is going to be a plus for the marketing for Ford's Colony.
Drew, I guess this is for you. You mentioned the parcel of Firestone that was purchased through the default. What are the plans for that parcel that can be remade? We can't hear that. Sorry. The parcel that Drew mentioned on Firestone, will that remain as green space?
Go ahead, Joe.
Our first plan is just to get that property removed and get it designated from future development to non-residential service and amenity site. You have to go through a planning process with board of directors in order to affect any potential amenity use, but there are no immediate plans.
I would add is that there are some limitations to that land and what we can use it for as well. There are wetlands there.
I have another question. Are there any other lots or areas within the colony that are developer owned or should say from former developer that we need to, the board's looking at to control or at the entrance of our property of plots of land that are available for people to develop that may change the characteristic of the entrance or the character of Forest Colony.
One of the reasons why we got effectively purchased 2 Forest Colony Drive, which is at the front entrance on Long Hill Road, is to protect our entrance. It's the best way of putting it. That was purchased from the Ryan Ford. As I understand it, and Drew, I'm trying to find where he is, you can comment, is that after these development activities that Drew talked about this morning, okay, the country club villas, Marsh Hawk, the area over in Westport, is that there really are no large pieces of land that will be available for development. There are still multiple lots that still can be built, but this is going to be the last of the larger development efforts here in Forest Colony. And yes, indeed, it's the board's intent to protect the HOA in terms of its look and feel, et cetera, and its entrances, et cetera, as well as within the building. That's one of the things that we take very seriously.
I just want to express my sorrow and disappointment at the look that the Marsh Hawk villas are going to have on Hollywood. And the second is a question relative to that, partially answered it. Why is that happening? I just don't understand it. I understand the west part. I understand the area across from News Road. That's going to be a real benefit. I do not understand the Marsh Hawk villas. Who makes those decisions and why?
One point I'll make about those villas is that that development, their design, et cetera, goes through ARC. And that's the way that we seek to protect our look and feel of the properties that are developed here in Forest Colony. The only way that we could prevent development on that land might be to buy it. And I'm not sure you all would like us to do that, given what that would cost. Do you want to add anything to that?
I'd only add that it's referred to as by right development. It was originally owned by Realtek Incorporated, the developer. They leveraged that. That land was foreclosed on and then subsequently bought in the public market. So that developer, it's in our master plan, is approved for multifamily up to 30 units.
Okay.
When you approach come in the Manchester gate and off hours, I would say several times a week I ran into someone coming into the RFID entrance. There's no signs. There's something painted on the pavement. Some of the other entrances say residents only. Why can't we get a sign there that just says residents only?
Okay. Anything else?
We're clear.
So I really can't see.
Yeah, I think we're clear. We're right ahead.
We're clear?
Yes, sir.
You know what? Somebody will tell me, never answer a question that's not asked, but I'm going to. Several of you who come in here probably had questions about what's going on with the country club. If you do, raise your hand. I want to tell you, because one of the issues that we can have is that some of the rumors and things can go sideways, and we want to try to prevent that. And it's important to you all know what's happening. So, the question really is, have there been discussions with the country club? The answer, yes. Forge Colony benefits from having a strong country club. It enhances our community, provides a social focus, and increases the value of our home. That country club and the golf courses, whether you think about it or not, basically increases the value of our properties by 20 to 30%. That's money in our pocket. Our discussion has been intended to create a win-win for both of us, country club and the HOA. Forge Colony has facilities needs. Our annual survey indicates folks would like to see other amenities. A fitness center is one of them. Getting rooms at times for the HOA. A club, a community meeting can be a challenge. Where's Jenny? Jenny's over there. Jenny can attest to that. Okay. However, being built out means that we have little undeveloped space. So, from the one perspective, such as what came with the question, is it's great not to have developable space because it in some ways protects us. But it can be a problem because there's no dirt for anything else that we would like to add. And anyway, we don't have the money to add a building or anything either. The club has put forward a couple of possibilities that may benefit our community. First, they may be willing to build and staff a food facility at one of our pools. If they do, we might also get a cut from the profits of that facility. Frankly, it might be nice to have a burger and a beer and a nice summer evening at the pool. That would enable us to do that. Second, the club has also indicated a willingness to build a meaningful fitness center with some extra meeting space and exercise room. This also addresses something that we've heard from all of you that they would like to see. It's provided that the business case can be made to do that. Okay, and just to note, if there was a fitness center there would be a monthly charge to use it. Frankly, to be competitive with what we have in town. These are things that we can't do by ourselves. So, frankly, from our perspective, we're intrigued. Okay, is this something that would be good for our community? They're not going to do this for nothing. They would like the HOA to pay a nominal fee, perhaps $15 a month for each HOA member. Okay, that's each one of our lots. In exchange, every Forge Colony resident has the option to become a social member of the club at no additional charge. That means that they have access to all the activities and the amenities of the club, okay, that's offered to social members, such as the Colony Room with Eric the chef, okay, the Wine Society, men's night out, ladies' night out, team dinner, fireside chats, jukebox, finishing bingo, all of this stuff. And frankly, if the membership is a little bit higher, there would be even more. The dues for the Forge Colony residents who are already members of the club would also be adjusted to account for what we're talking about here. This has some potential for us. So where do we go? Oh, I just need to add it. What does the club get from this? Their membership roles and club usage will increase. They'll become an even more viable club. And a more viable club is to our benefits. So where do we go from here? Is this right for the community? What's next? So there's a couple of takeaways here that I want you to take with you, okay, when people talk about this. The first and the most important one, there's no decision has been made. All that's happened up until this point is that we kind of have an outline of what might be possible. So we need to collect a ton of stuff. I'm going to say that phrase, stuff, okay, before any decision is made. Most importantly, we're going to collect your input. We want to know what you think. We want you to give us suggestions of how this can be better, okay, what things you see might be problems with this, etc. Expect the listening sessions, town halls, focus groups, and perhaps even one of those rental surveys. Your voice is important, and it will be heard. Second, there's a ton of details to be worked on. This, if we do this, will be codified in a contract. Because this is contractual. This is one of the reasons why this has been behind the scenes, is that what we're talking about, if you will, is contractual detail. Now that we have the outline, we want to talk to you all about this. So the next part of this is we got to work out all those details. And then last, and this will probably be important for all of them, it's going to be put to a vote. So not only will you be able to provide input to this, is that you will vote on this as whether this is something the HOA can do. So with all of those provisos, is that it's clear that this is something that is not, the decision has been made. Okay, we need a lot more information. All right, we need a lot more information from you. So expect to hear more about this. This is actually going to be one of the community goals for 2024. So, and then I'll just say, this is not an intent to bail out the club. It has nothing to do with this. With that, what we're really trying to do is that we have needs, and guess what? They put something on the table that might be able to address those needs. And if people here think it's a good idea, or maybe they don't have. Thank you. Okay. With that, thank you all for coming. Okay. It indicates a commitment to our community, and we appreciate that.